Said notice was posted at the entrance of the Board of Education offices, mailed to the Nutley Township Clerk, sent to Tap Into Nutley, advertised in the Nutley Sun on February 6, 2020, and posted on the district website. A revised meeting notice was sent out on April 8, 2020, advising that this meeting was going to be a virtual online meeting. Can we have the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Kukuza, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnicella?
He's excused.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin?
Here.
Mr. DeMayo?
Here.
Mr. Ferraro?
He's excused.
Mrs. Quirk?
Here.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mr. Scalera?
Here.
Ms. Zarrow? She there?
She was here, Ms. Zarrow. Okay, I'm sure she'll be back.
Kaczynski? Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Is there any correspondence tonight? No. I need an approval of the minutes, please.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Presentations. Elementary oratorical disclamation presentation. Who is giving that, Mr. Banya? We'll start off.
I believe Mrs. Loconcello is going to present that tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I believe Ian has the recorded version he's going to present. Ian?
Yep, I'll be up in a second.
Great, thank you. And I do see we have some of the students who participated in that pilot program with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, boys and girls. Good evening, board members and community members. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize some students who participated in a unique pilot program this past spring. This spring, our gifted and talented teachers, Ms. Napolitano and Ms. Teen, began an oratorical declamation pilot program. This activity requires students to select a non-original address previously delivered by a famous speaker. Student speeches ranged from FDR's speech at Pearl Harbor to JFK at the Berlin Wall to young Greta Thunberg's speech to the United Nations as a global climate activist. Students were initially preparing for a county tournament at Montclair State, but due to COVID-19, that tournament was canceled. Even so, students reached out to our two gifted and talented teachers and expressed interest in continuing the program from home. With the assistance of Ms. Napolitano and Mrs. Teen, these students selected, interpreted, memorized, and practiced their speeches on their own. The results of their efforts were recently showcased on Wednesday, June 10th, in a virtual showcase that was attended by myself, principals, supervisors, parents. I can tell you I was so impressed by the passion that the students delivered their speeches with and the effort that went into memorizing their pieces. I truly couldn't believe I was watching elementary students. They were so poised and professional. With that in mind, I'd like to take a moment to read the names of the students who participated in this exciting pilot program. Emily Keene, Noah Blasik, Bethany Duffy, Soleil Pettit-Frieri, Kylie Harrison, Blake Sayo, Kaylin Ross, Samantha Alper, Vavina Fan, Rhea Shah, Ahana Shaw, Lincoln Boys, Samuel Guanzon, Sagarika Kakadach. Congratulations again to the members of the 2020 Nutley Oratorical Declamation team, and thank you again for this opportunity to share their special achievement with the board and the public tonight.
Thank you, Janine, and thank you, students, for a great job. Well done.
Thank you.
Spring Athletic Awards. Dr. Glazer, or Mr. Banya, or Mr. Pyro, I would assume.
Yeah. It would be
Okay.
Mr. Pyro who'll be
Yes.
reading the presentation.
Have it. Mr. Pyro, are you with us? Let me try to, I will try to reach him.
All right. I don't see him, Mr. Kaczynski, so I'll
He was here. I'm sorry, he was here. He was here. Just let me try to reach out for him. I'll call him.
Okay. If not, I'll go through it.
Yeah, he just disappeared, Charlie.
He said he's frozen.
Okay. All right, Dr. Glazer, can you go through it? And I think in the future, we're going to have to make this up to the children when we get back to normal again.
Well, tonight it is my understanding that Mr. Pyro has prepared this with the name of each child, and he was just going to be reading those names. So I'll do my best to fill in. I don't have quite that deep voice, but I will do my best, and hopefully there won't be anything to make up to the children. Ian, I do need you to scroll through though, because I don't have Mr. Pyro's presentation. So what he prepared was the senior letter winners by sport. Those are our spring varsity athletes by sport. And I will go through their names. So for baseball, it would be Andrew Boudin, Matthew Connor, Dominic DeNorcio, Kevin Hogan, Daniel Jennings, Justin Lucia, Andrew Ponzoni, Trevor Santos, Cameron Schlip. Ian? For crew, Samantha Abranovich, Sophia Arujo, Juliana Caruso, Mary Mankowitz, Emma Murphy, Devin Reed, Aslam Scarpelli, Mia Scudi, Annabelle Shanley, Michael Capobianco, Daniel Kuzik, and Michael Siriani. For golf, Justin Devlin, Ryan O'Connor, and Aaron Schmidt.
I'm back, Dr. Glazer. Sorry, we had some technical difficulty.
No worries. Welcome, Mr. Pyro. You'll do a better job with that booming voice than me. Take over, starting with lacrosse.
Okay. Well, first off, I'd like to say I wish all our spring athletes well. It was very tough times and trying times, and they really, you know, they really did a great job, and were patient and trying to work through this. And although they did not get a chance,
Safari.
although they did not get a chance to,
Meet.google.
although they did not get a chance to play, everything they've done prior to their senior year will never be forgotten. And once they're a Raider, they're always a Raider. So we wish them the best moving forward. All right, our lacrosse letter winners: Spencer Austin, Dante Cantella, Dominic Cantella, Justin Elsos, Alexander French, Dylan Hu, Johnny Matrona, Michael Loserino, and Ryan Turano. Moving on to softball. We have 5: Brianna Cruz, Isabella Fogel, Alexander Hergenhan, Cecilia Melnicki, and Jamel Quillis. Outdoor track on the boys' side, Anthony Cardenas, Anthony DiPerzio, Nicholas Duca, Alvaro Flores, Brian Gradzicki, Zachary McCuskey, Brian McCormick, Raj Pagal, Bryant Shang, Jalen Skelton, and Severino Villanueva. And on the girls' side, Alyssa Pavasso Pignataro, Lena Crane, Samantha Gabriel, Shannon Granelli, Nicole Kane, Sophia Lamont, Gianna Marinaro, Maria Marucci, Saskia Schumann, Amandine Soho, Julia Sarakwitz, and Kelly Waddleton. We have one senior tennis player, Troy Battler. Now we're going to move into our senior recognition awards. These are awards that we would typically have given out at the end of the year senior dinner sponsored by the Third Half Club. But again, due to circumstances beyond our control, we were unable to do that. So we will present them tonight. And these are very well, all the kids that earned these awards are very well deserving, and we are all very proud of them. The first one is the Martin Rislow Award. This award is given to the senior athlete that best embodies the qualities of leadership, dedication, and excellence in the sport of track. Congratulations to Zachary Makowitz. To Dr. Charles Margulies Award, which is presented to the male and female athlete who have demonstrated excellence in athletics, scholarship, and citizenship. John Matrona and Abigail Scheidel. Congratulations to them. The John Ayers Award, presented to the senior athlete who was able to overcome adversity, whether it be illness or an injury, and come back and compete. And I'm proud to say, Jaden Long. The Dr. Horace Tanham Award, presented to the male and female senior athlete who excel in leadership and athletics. Senior Kevin Hogan and Shannon Granelli. Congratulations to them. The Sandy Phillips Award is presented to the senior football player who embodies character, competition, and loyalty, and that is senior Matthew Jaworski. The Tom Gallucci Award, one of my favorite awards to give, named after my athletic director back in the day, presented to the male and female athlete who embodies leadership, pride, loyalty, enthusiasm, and professionalism. Very happy to announce Dominic Cantella and Jamel Quillis. The NJSIA Scholar Athlete Award recipient is Matthew Roble. The Essex County Athletic Directors Association Scholar Athlete recipients are Dante Cantella and Abigail Scheidel. The United States Army Reserve Scholar Athlete Award goes to Sofia Arrojo and Michael Capobianco. The United States Marine Corps Award for Distinguished Athlete goes to Dan Jennings and Brianna Cruz. The Super Essex Conference Best Teammate Award was presented to Pete Havrick. And last but certainly not least, the Outstanding Male and Female Athlete of the Year goes to Dante Cantella and Samantha Gabriel. Congratulations to all of our award winners. The timing of that ring could have been more perfect. Congratulations to all of our award winners. Very, very proud of them. Although it's a year faced with a lot of adversity, they really they plowed through it. And congratulations to them. And as always, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be your athletic director and work with such a fine group of individuals.
Thank you, Mr. Pyro, and congratulations to all the students. And it's so nice to hear some names that you and I recognize from the coaches and from the students end, Joe. Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Glazer, Governor's Educator of the Year Award.
At this time, I believe Ms. Greco has a presentation, a prepared
Okay.
presentation. I will give my comments at the end.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Ian has a presentation for you. Good evening. Tonight, we recognize staff members in two categories: the Governor's Educator of the Year Award recipients and the district's 2020 retiree. The Governor's Educator of the Year is a program that highlights innovation, student achievement, the rewards of teaching, and important services outside the classroom environment that lead to student success. These awards seek to attract public attention to the positive aspects of our education system. Each school here in Nutley has chosen two recipients, a Teacher of the Year and a Support Staff Member of the Year. At Nutley High School, Nicole David, Teacher of the Year, Michelle Yasso, Support Staff Member of the Year. NHS Principal Dennis Williams shares that in Nicole's classroom, students are able to find their voice and confidence as learners and as individuals. She has been an early adopter of EdTech, served on multiple strategic plan committees, and an integral part of the team that helped transition to block scheduling. Nicole has given back to the classroom and the school community her entire career. Mr. Williams shares that Mrs. Yasso has been a key player in developing the RISE and CBI programs. Her vision and sense of purpose have served our special needs students well. She is always looking for resources and collaborations within the Nutley community that benefit all stakeholders. A powerful advocate for those who have none, Michelle represents the best of what the Nutley Public Schools can provide. At John H. Walker Middle School, Linda McDonald, Teacher of the Year, and Kathleen Cristiano, Support Staff Member of the Year. Principal Egan shares that Mrs. McDonald has brought essential 21st century skills to the middle school students, providing them with the necessary tools for the world of tomorrow. She has brought robotics, coding, and digital production to the middle school and has taught these exciting subjects with enthusiasm and passion. Her kind demeanor, patience, and willingness to let students learn in a hands-on manner have made her classes powerful learning experience for our students at the middle school. She often shares her expertise with her colleagues, helping us all to improve our teaching through technology. In addition, Mrs. Cristiano has made wonderful contributions to John H. Walker Middle School. Working as a one-to-one paraprofessional, her caring and dedication towards her students are second to none. Her cheerful disposition and positive attitudes put a smile on the faces of students and staff members daily. She's an integral part of the John H. Walker Middle School community and makes our school a better place every day. At Lincoln School, Ashley Rayo, Teacher of the Year, and Donna Balcato, Support Staff Member of the Year. According to Principal Lorraine Marcel, Mrs. Rayo is a dedicated professional who has a gift for connecting with her students and makes sure they know how truly special they each are. She works to enable each of her students to succeed in their own way and builds confidence in them every day, socially, emotionally, and academically. Her students are empowered to take chances with learning and continue to become more independent thinkers. Mrs. Restel also shares that Mrs. Balcato is the heart and soul of Lincoln School. Her dedication to the students, parents, and staff is second to none. She greets every person who enters the doors of the school with a warm smile and immediately makes sure that they know what a caring environment Lincoln School is. She is the glue that keeps the building together, and words cannot express how thankful we are for her. At Radcliffe School, Teacher of the Year, Kimberly Domonte, and Support Staff Member of the Year, Cynthia McNulty. Principal Mike Carney says that Kim is someone who epitomizes a team player. She is on the bus when it's rolling and will push it when it breaks down, he says. She's an ABA teacher working with autistic children. She runs Radcliffe's Special Olympics program and is an extended day supervisor. Kim volunteers her time and truly loves all of her students. Last week, when the students were picking up and dropping off their materials, she asked if she could stay the entire day. This way she could wish all of her aftercare students a good summer. It's this mindset that shows her commitment to all of her children. She is someone you can count on to be the first one there and the last one to leave. Mr. Carney also shares that Cynthia will always give her best to whatever challenge is in front of her. She gives her students and staff her full energy and attention. Her students are lucky to have someone who is as passionate as she is for her craft. She not only teaches her students, but she is also our sign language club sponsor. What's really remarkable, however, is how much Cynthia enjoys what she does. Cynthia will do whatever it takes to get the job done. At Spring Garden School, Amanda Rezick, Teacher of the Year, and Barbara Sarno, Support Staff of the Year. Principal Lori LaGuardia shares that Amanda is a gentle educator who ensures her students' needs are met all the time. She is a kind and sweet role model for her students. Her organization and cooperative nature are admired by her peers, while her students thrive in the structure of her classroom. Amanda is a professional who takes her role as an educator seriously on behalf of her students. Mrs. LaGuardia also shares that Barbara Sarno, who is a paraprofessional, goes above and beyond for her students and staff. She is kind and generous and will do anything for anyone with a smile. Barbara connects with her students and is the first to volunteer and lend a hand. Her humor, wit, and heart make her a valuable member of the Spring Garden team. At Yanakaw School, Kim Algieri, Teacher of the Year, and Angela Gariano, Support Staff Member of the Year. According to Principal Frank Francia, Kim is a caring and dedicated teacher who inspires and motivates our fourth grade students to achieve their best. Her classroom lessons are well planned and encouraging, which represent her commitment to her work ethic. Kim's classroom environment is welcoming and nurturing. When you walk into her class, you will find the students comfortably seated throughout the room, working diligently and cooperatively. She is committed to ensuring that all students have a voice and are heard. Mr. Francia also shares that Angela is the nucleus of our main office and an essential part of the school community. She leads and organizes the office and pays close attention to detail to ensure that all are functioning effectively each day. Her effort to support the Yanakaw school community and all its stakeholders falls upon her. Her dedication to the students, faculty, staff, and to me is truly appreciated, and her hard work never goes unnoticed. At Washington School, Andrea Carnevale, Teacher of the Year, and Geraldine Dwyer, Support Staff Member of the Year. Mr. Jones shares that Andrea has worked in the primary capacity as a first grade and kindergarten teacher before spending the last 12 years as a second grade teacher at Washington School. In all that time, she has prided herself on inspiring primary students to develop inquisitive minds and personal pride and responsibility. She guides students to be kind and to help others. For many years, she developed and organized the Washington School Memorial Day Parade and Picnic, where the entire student body came together for a day of thanks and praise of our servicemen and women. Many Armed Forces veterans attended this wonderful event to hear poems of praise and patriotic songs sung by the second grade and the entire Washington School student body. During this year's remote celebration, students connected with retired Marine Sergeant Rogers via Google Meet to observe and discuss a military camp set up in the woods. Andrea is a wonderful educator and a great advocate for children. Mr. Jones shares that Mrs. Dwyer began her career in Nutley in 1999 and in 2000 became the principal's assistant at Washington School. She is a kind, wonderful person who knows every child and is the beacon of support to every child who has ever attended Washington School. She is a constant, warm, and caring person who provides every child support and relief in times of need. From forgetting their lunch to calling home when they don't feel well, her impact on students can't be measured. Additionally, she is a professional and is extremely efficient in working with parents, faculty, staff, and the general public. She keeps the main office running smoothly and makes it look easy. Few people in our schools have an immense positive effect on every student the way Mrs. Dwyer does, each and every day. Congratulations to our Educators of the Year. Tonight, we also honor the district's retirees. Carol Bender retires from Lincoln School. Mrs. Restell shared that Mrs. Bender is retiring after 37 years of bringing the joy of music to countless students at Lincoln. Her work with students, from songs of the kindergartners to the beautiful harmonies the children have provided, will not be forgotten. Memories from years of school concerts to playing and singing the Lincoln School song during the virtual graduations just recently will be forever a part of her legacy. Mrs. Bender, we wish you the best of life, happiness, and health as you enter this next chapter. Enjoy your beautiful granddaughter, and please come back to see us soon. Carrie Bowes retires from Yanakaw School. Mr. Francia shared that Carrie is a dedicated and caring teacher who always puts her students first. Her kindness and approach in teaching made her classroom environment safe and comfortable. I will miss our end-of-the-day conversation and listening to her many years of classroom stories and hilarious field trip experiences. I wish Carrie the best of luck and congratulations on retirement. Maureen Callahan retires from Lincoln School. Mrs. Restell shares that Maureen has worked tirelessly with students in Nutley for the past 25 years, and 22 of those years at Lincoln School. She put her heart and soul into each life she touched and made a difference in the lives of hundreds of students. She was never without a smile on her face and was quick to provide whatever a student needed, from money for the book fair to shoes on their feet. I will miss her ever positive attitude and her laugh as she walked through the halls or entered the main office. Mrs. Callahan, we wish you the best as you enter this next chapter of your life. Enjoy your grandchildren, and we hope that you'll come back and visit us at Lincoln often. Nancy Feedy retires from Spring Garden School. Principal LaGuardia shares that through Nancy's dedication and passion for teaching, she touched the lives of so many. Her gentle and peaceful manner was contagious as she ensured students became independent and self-directed learners. Nancy embraced change and worked hard to provide her students with meaningful and relevant instruction. She made a mark on everyone's life she touched. Nancy has been a dedicated and respected staff member who will be missed at Spring Garden. Catherine Flannery retires from Yanakaw School as the school nurse. Mr. Francia shared that Kathy's presence and leadership will be greatly missed at Yanakaw. Her commitment to our students, district, and the community was like no other. I will miss seeing her in her office each morning to start our day. I wish Kathy the best of luck and congratulations on her retirement. Sharon Lacara retires from Nutley High School. According to Principal Dennis Williams, Sharon has been a coach, advisor, and the heart and soul of the NHS Health and Physical Education Department her entire career. She played an integral role these last few years in revamping the health and PE curriculum and infusing wellness into that curriculum for her students. We'll miss her enthusiasm in the classroom, especially demonstrating yoga poses. We thank Sharon for setting the bar high in phys ed, and we wish her and her family health and happiness in her retirement. Andrew Linfanti also retires from Nutley High School. Mr. Williams said that Mr. Linfanti's impact has spread far beyond his economics classes. There are hundreds of NHS alumni who have gone on to successful careers who have been deeply impacted by his unique approaches to teaching. Andy's track coaching techniques also helped drive school record breakers, and his AP Econ techniques generated perfect 5 scores for many of his students. We'll miss his love of Willie Nelson and T-bone steaks and wish Andy and his wife happiness in retirement. John Maiello retires from the Nutley Public Schools this year as well. Mr. Maiello has spent his career sharing his passion for music with countless of young musicians. Throughout his 16 years here in Nutley, he has served as Nutley High School's band director for 14 years, winning numerous marching band competitions, jazz ensemble awards, and numerous other accolades. In addition to high school teaching, Mr. Maiello has also been able to reach musicians of all ages, teaching at both the elementary and middle school levels. He was a JC Educator of the Year award recipient and also recognized in Who's Who among American teachers. Despite all of these accomplishments, Mr. Maiello has continued to work tirelessly and with humility to serve the students and the community of Nutley. We wish him best of luck in his retirement. Malcolm Neptune retires from Spring Garden as a custodian this year. Mrs. LaGuardia says that Malcolm has served the district with his strong work ethic and cooperative spirit. His gentle and calm presence will be missed. Malcolm worked diligently and quietly to ensure our staff and students had a beautiful environment here at Spring Garden each day. Deborah Vesicelli retires from Spring Garden School this year as well. According to Mrs. LaGuardia, Debbie is a leader and an innovator who inspired all around her. During the course of her stellar career, she provided her students with a love of learning through her engaging and endearing manner. She served as a mentor to her colleagues and a confidant to our families. An intelligent educator with a passion for her own learning, Debbie's spunk and humor were contagious. She empowered her students to be the best they could be at all times. We value and appreciate her years of service as a teacher, a mentor, and a friend. Congratulations to all our retirees, our educators. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mrs. Greco. And again, on behalf of the board, yes, a clap of hands. Congratulations to all the recipients. Congratulations to all the retirees. If any board member would like to say something in reference to the retirees, now's the time. Now you can say something if you'd like to.
Hi, Charlie. It's Lisa. I'd like to.
Yes.
Yeah, I know my children have had the good fortune of having many of these educators, and I'd like to thank them for their dedication and years of service. And I wish you lots of health, happiness in your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Charlie, it's Frank. If I can jump in.
Yes, sir, of course.
I just want to wish them all the best of luck going forward, and thank you for all of your years of service. That is truly appreciated.
Yes. Anyone else? I certainly want to congratulate the recipients of the Governor's Educator of the Year Award and the staff that's been helpful at the different schools. There are people that you and I recognize, know, and sometimes have had to go to with specific help. I thank them for everything they've done for us throughout the years. Dr. Glazer, I guess you're up with your superintendent's report.
Hi, Charlie, it's Erica.
Yes, Erica.
I've been on here. I don't know why my mic isn't working on the video thing, so I called in. I've been here, Madeline, the whole time, by the way. I just wanted to thank all the retirees and everybody that got all their awards and just say very well deserved, and the board and the community appreciate everyone's hard work.
Thank you very much, Erica.
Charlie, it's Frank again. Can I jump back in real quick?
Frank, of course.
I'm sorry, but there's one retiree that was not mentioned, unless we're doing it at a separate time, and that was Dr. Von Roth.
It's in. If you look, it's further on in our meeting agenda, Frank.
Okay, thanks.
I believe there's a testimonial to him at the end of the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay. Anyone else like to say something now? Can always jump in like Frank. Dr. Glazer, you're up.
Thank you. I have to say, it is so exciting to me that we're able to honor our retirees, our teachers and support staff of the year, and all of our students in this format. We have 81 people currently on this meeting. I think that is perhaps a record for one of our board meeting attendance, and I love that. So thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for celebrating with us tonight. We truly are proud of our teachers and our staff, and retirees will miss you desperately. All of you. I'm glad to see so many of your faces, and I've missed you over the last months. I hope I'll get a chance to see you in the future. Not sure how many more times I can say it, but thank you again for everybody, for all of your work in these unprecedented times. The staff that you heard about tonight have been excellent, enthusiastic, patient, passionate, positive, and expert educators since long before this pandemic. So again, congratulations to each and every one of you. Today, we had the Raider Ride, and it was so much fun to see our class of 2020 all together celebrating. Want to give a special thank you to Trustee Fred Scalera for spearheading this effort for the Board of Education, and to all of the members who were there today, all 9 of you, to Mayor Tucci for riding in the procession with our graduates, Chief Strumolo and the Nutley Police Department for all your planning and keeping everybody safe, along with Commissioner Petracco, and of course our Nutley High School administration and faculty who have been with us every step of the way to celebrate this class, not just this year, but for all 4 years. We did post a few pictures to Facebook. in case you missed it going around town. And we hope that you'll post your pictures as well. Send us pictures. We would love to add them to our collection for our students. We are looking forward to our virtual graduation on Wednesday night, Wednesday, June 24th. It's going to be amazing. Thank you to all of the staff who has worked beyond to make it an amazing event. I think that you will enjoy it. And of course, we're looking forward to sharing information regarding an in-person celebration on July 9th. Today, the governor did open up outdoor celebrations to 250 people. And hopefully over the next couple weeks, if the health and safety numbers stay positive, we'll be able to continue to see that number grow. As long as we're honoring people tonight, I'd also like to give a special shout out to our student board member, Connor Fitzpatrick. I'm not sure if he's on the meeting tonight. We have a lot of people on this call, but I do want to make sure that we honor him before the school year is over. Connor joined us this year with enthusiasm for sharing all the different student activities at the high school. And he had a special focus at every meeting on inclusion. He talked often about all of the programs that were happening for all of the students at the high school and in town. And he truly brought something special to every meeting. He did a terrific job with us on the board, and he will be a wonderful asset as he goes off to study computer science at NJIT. There's something about Connor, though, that you may not know, and that is that Connor has had perfect attendance from every year, from kindergarten all the way through the last day of senior year on Friday. I'm not sure if you understand the impact of that. We're talking 13 years, 2,340 days, never missing one. Connor, that's a tremendous achievement and something not only to recognize tonight, but you're a role model for all of us. I hope you can keep your run going all the way through NJIT. Much good luck and success to you as you get ready to graduate. A few more announcements. I'm proud to announce that we are going to be able to continue to feed all of Nutley's students under the age of 18 through August 30th. Our grant from the Department of Agriculture was extended. Pomptonian Food Services will be moving back into the middle school kitchens, and meal distribution will begin to take place as a curbside pickup at the middle school beginning Tuesday, June 30th. Please look for more information regarding the schedule in your email and on the district website. If you're currently picking up meals, you've already received a flyer with some of that information. But do know this opportunity is open again to all resident students under the age of 18. While I'm speaking about the food services, I would be remiss if I didn't once again acknowledge the tremendous partnership that we've had with the Nutley Family Service Bureau for this meal distribution to the community. This has truly been possible because of the many, many wonderful volunteers who have continued to show up month after month, week after week, have made relationships with a number of the families and have made this a special thing instead of something that could have been difficult. It's also because of Executive Director Eileen Painter. Eileen and I started in Nutley on the same day 4 years ago, and we've been able to accomplish a tremendous amount in the past 4 years related to food insecurity, mental health, opioid abuse, and getting students involved in the community. One of our former board member students, Katerina Robles, is currently interning with the Nutley Family Service Bureau, and I love hearing that our students stay involved with their service even after they've gone to college. Eileen is moving on to a new opportunity, and I want to take this opportunity to wish her nothing but the best and so much success in all of her future endeavors. Eileen, your smile, your positive can-do attitude is going to be a loss to the whole township of Nutley and, of course, to me as well. I will miss you, my friend. Much good luck to you. And finally, Thanks to the district parents, staff, and students, we received more than 2,000 responses to our recent surveys regarding the remote learning experience that's been going on since March. In addition to that, we've had more than 600 comments, suggestions, and questions regarding what might be coming as we look forward and plan for September. This feedback is going to be invaluable to us as we review and evaluate the past few months and as we plan for our future based on upcoming health and safety guidelines. In an attempt to keep the conversation going, we're going to be holding 4 Google Meet sessions to answer some of the questions that have been asked about virtual learning and to further gather your input about your experiences to date. So there's still a lot of uncertainty surrounding returning to school in September, but we want to make sure that the community is included as part of the planning and as part of the conversation. So the sessions that are going to be held this week will make sure specific to elementary and to secondary experiences, and each of those sessions will be moderated by one of our directors of curriculum and instruction and assessment. Mrs. Janine Loconsolo will do our pre-K to 6 sessions. Mr. Kent Banya will do our 6 to 12 sessions. The sessions are going to be held for pre-K to 5 on Thursday, June 25th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and on Friday, June 26th from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. The sessions for grades 6 to 12 will be held on Tuesday, tomorrow, June 23rd from 4 to 5 o'clock p.m. and on Thursday, June 25th from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. The links to the meeting are already located on the district website, and you'll see that there is a web link for virtual learning meetings that you'll be able to log into these meetings with. For those of you that are willing to give us more time and commitment, following these general conversations, you'll have an opportunity to participate in weekly task force meetings as we receive more guidance from the governor for the fall. I want to thank all of our parents, students, and staff for their ongoing engagement and participation in what is our education in Nutley, our primary consideration of the Nutley Public Schools. Without you, we'd be in trouble. And as I say often, we are truly stronger together. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski.
Thank you, Dr. Glazer. Mr. Appleton, are you on?
No.
I did not see Mr. Appleton log in. Did anyone else see him? I don't want to miss him.
You see me now?
Yes, sir, Ed. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. All right, I just briefly, I'd like to run over the contents of this evening's meeting with respect to the business services area. This evening, we have our standard secretary and treasurer's report, transfers between the funds. We have a Spanish Honor Society scholarship winner in Jenny Gavazzi. This evening, we'll be reappointing our professional services personnel. That's your district auditor, your architect, engineer, bond counsel, and board counsels. We will be reappointing for the coming school year contract evaluation services. That's a very lengthy list, and that is there to service our special education population. We have structured learning experience sites. These are areas that we are approving now in anticipation of utilizing these field trip availability in the 2021 school year. We have a number of purchasing items here. Approval of cooperative purchasing. Those services are from primarily Educational Data Services, who provides these who provides bidding services, and we are able to buy directly off of off of this cooperative bid as opposed to having to go out for it on our own. We have an approval recommended for Scientific Water Conditioning Company for the renewal of our water treatment services. The Jack Devine gym floor restorations. Environmental connections, that's for our HERA plan, and a plethora of communication services, whether they be educational in nature or administrative in nature. But these would be the computer services area. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Appleton. Mr. Parisi, are you on?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. We completed our Nutley Fire Department Health and Safety inspection. We have several repairs that need our attention. My staff is currently working on the list. We have an asbestos inspection plan for the Nutley High School plaster walls throughout the building. Campbell Fire Inspection sent us its inspection report for the 2020 school year. We have our 5-year inspection due for our fire protection sprinkler system. I am arranging to get that scheduled. Student locker pickup is completed, and the principals and staff did a great job organizing the pickup. It went fantastic. It was a undertaking that I was concerned about, but smooth as silk. Everything's out of the schools, and we're ready to go. Dakota Construction, our contracted company we're using for the Park Oval turf project, is scheduled to drop off its equipment tomorrow, June 23rd, and start the work by the end of this week. Shaw Turf has the shop drawing. We'll have the shop drawings in a few days to review and approve. That should be in by the end of the week. We started the library project at Spring Garden on Friday, June 19th. The room was painted and the carpet was removed and waiting for the floor to be redone. The custodial maintenance staff is working on summer projects and cleaning. The staff continues to maintain social distancing at all times. All staff are required to wear masks at all times. This will be enforced for the safety of all staff. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Parisi. Hearing of citizens. We now come to the portion of our meeting where we allow members of the public to address the board. In this section, we allow questions or comments on resolutions only. Our board regulations number 601 allows 20 minutes for these communications. Each person shall be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask you to try to stay within this requirement. Speakers may speak more than once only after all others wishing to speak on a topic have been heard. All statements will be directed to me as the chairperson. No one may address board members individually. Please be reminded that if your statement is too lengthy, abusive, obscene, irrelevant, or redundant, your participation may be terminated. Please remember to state your name and address each and every time you address the board. Does anyone have any questions at this time? Ian, do we have any questions posted?
There are not currently any questions in chat or email.
81 people. No one has a question right now. Okay. Thank you, Ian. I'm sure we'll continue. Mrs. Danchek, can you take academic resolution, please?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move academic resolution number 1 as written.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Kukuza, please.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin,
Yes.
Mr. DeMayo,
Yes.
Mrs. Quirk,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Scalera,
Yes.
Ms. Arrow,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes. Mr. Scalera, will you take administration, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move administration resolution number 1 as written.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Kukuza.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin,
Yes.
Mr. DeMayo,
Yes.
Mrs. Quirk,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mrs. Scalera,
Yes.
Miss Arrow,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes. Mr. Riley, will you take personnel resolutions, please?
what about finance? Are we doing personnel first?
I'm sorry. My fault. From Mr. DeMayo, will you take finance resolutions, please?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move finance resolutions 1 through 44 as written.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stanchek Martin,
Yes.
Mr. DeMayo,
Yes.
Mrs. Quirk,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mrs. Scalera,
Yes.
Miss Arrow,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes. Now, Mr. Riley, can you take personnel resolutions, please?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move personnel resolutions as listed. Are you going to read the testimonial for Dr. Von Roth, Mr. President?
Yes, I was. But you're welcome to do that if you like.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Before we go into a second, I'll read the testimony for Dr. Von Roth. Whereas Dr. William Von Roth has tendered his resignation as athletic physician to the superintendent for personnel effective June 30th, 2020, signified his intention of retiring from active service. And whereas Dr. William Von Roth has worked in the Nutley Public Schools for a period of 42 years, and whereas through the years, Dr. William Von Roth has exemplified the finest quality of his position at all times. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Education express to Dr. William Von Roth its deep appreciation for his long and faithful service and extends to him his best wishes for continued health and happiness, and be further resolved that this resolution be made a part of the minutes of this meeting. As most of you know and might have served with him, Dr. Von Roth has been a Nutley person and is a Nutley person for his entire time with the board. As a student, he was an active, outstanding football player, went on to complete his college, and then came back to be our physician of stature in Nutley for 42 years, as mentioned. Always a person to go to. Loyalty is beyond reproach with Dr. Von Roth. And again, I thank him for all his service to the children of Nutley.
Mr. President, can I say? a few
Yes,
words?
sir. Mr. Scalera.
So I have to say, Mr. Von Roth and his whole entire family that's gone through the Nutley School District, they're a lifelong family here. He's given more volunteer time and hours and caring to our kids throughout all the sports and the programs. We're going to miss him, and I don't think we'll ever find another doctor that's going to stay and assist us for 42 years and do the kind of work that he's did and the volunteerism for us. So thanks to Mr. Von Roth, and I hope he enjoys his retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to say anything right now? Mr. Riley, back to you.
Yes, Mr. President. So there's 4 personnel resolutions. I'd just like to read number 3, which says, be it resolved that the Board of Education award extra compensation in the amount of $1,500 per list on file in the business office in recognition of significant contributions to district operations during the 2019-2020 school year. And I just want to thank the entire board for making this happen. And I want to thank those people in the business office. And I think this is Mr. Appleton's last meeting. So thank you, Ed, for really coming through for us the last few months when we were in a very difficult position. And you and the staff in your office just did an outstanding job. And I personally want to thank each one of you. And you can see board resolution number 4 is the appointment of the new board secretary, board administrator, David DePisa, who comes on board July 1st. So I like to move those as listed. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Riley and board members. And if anyone else would like to say something in recognition of our staff, who certainly we are appreciating tonight, but have always appreciated the work they've done for us. And certainly there's difficult times without working with a with a BA, interim, and then an interim BA, always difficult for the interim BA and for our staff. So Madeline and your staff, and Ed Appleton and your staff, Dr. Glazer, your staff, thank you very much for bringing it all together for us and for the town of Nutley. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Madeline, roll call, please.
Second.
I'm sorry.
I second it.
There was a second.
Frank. DeMayo. Frank DeMayo seconded it.
Mrs. Dancheck Martin,
Yes.
Mr. DeMayo,
Yes.
Mrs. Clerk,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Scalera,
Yes.
Ms. Darrow,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes. Hearing of citizens. In this section, they will allow questions or comments on all school-related matters. Our regulations allow 30 minutes for these communications. Again, each person shall be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask you to try to stay within this requirement. Speakers may speak more than once only after all others wishing to speak on a topic have been heard. As I stated earlier, all statements will be directed to me as the chairperson, and no one may address board members individually. Please be reminded that if your statement is too lengthy, abusive, obscene, irrelevant, or redundant, your participation may be terminated. Please remember to state your name and address each and every time you address the board. Does anyone have any questions at this time? Ian?
There are not yet any questions in chat or email.
Thank you. Is there any old business to come before the board, Mr. Scalera?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you.
Sorry, there is now a question in chat.
Okay. We'll take it. Let me try to see it.
Catherine, if you unmute yourself, you can just directly ask the question.
Hi, how are you guys? So I wanted to speak a little bit on one of my experiences. I am a substitute teacher for you guys. I mostly work in the middle school when I'm not in, before COVID. So I wanted to speak a little bit about the instance with the video and really ask what we're going to do moving forward. I know a lot of that was put on hold because of COVID. So when I went into work that week, I don't work every day. When I went into work that week, I explicitly asked one of my administrators what I should say if a student asks about the video, and how to go on about that dialogue. I was told not to talk about it. I said, if the student is not gossiping and they want to talk about the social implications and racism, then how should I go about it? I was told to divert the conversation and to talk about something else. Of course, I'm a sub, so I thought maybe I wasn't qualified. Maybe they didn't want me to, impose anything because I wasn't really trained in any sort of cultural awareness. But later on, I realized that other teachers were discouraged from talking about race as well. There was excuses like, you're not a history teacher, or, administration is handling it. I've talked to teachers in the high school who said they weren't explicitly told in this way, but they were told to minimize it and to not deviate from their curriculum. And some teachers were spoken to when bringing up this issue. And I understand that there's a lot of fires that we had to put out during this time. We cannot have violence. We cannot have, people taking out their anger on other people. But the outrage got worse with no dialogue. And additionally, I know that there were some teachers that did not want to talk about it, that, if something was implemented where it's like, okay, we should all have an open dialogue, there were some teachers who adamantly did not want to talk about it, whether it was because they felt uncomfortable or maybe they didn't feel comfortable with these topics. And it makes me wonder if that is because of a lack of training when it comes to teaching a diverse classroom. a lot of the older curriculum and even now, if you're not going to school to be an urban teacher, you don't have to take African American history. So what I'm getting at is that I'm wondering if you realize the need for consistent and continuous cultural competency training taught by and led by a person of color. And additionally, the need for an established equity team on the Board of Ed made up of people of color to protect our students and to hold our administrators accountable, to be a liaison for our students, to be someone that our students of color can go to when an issue comes up, and more. And I think we'll hear more on the other types of experiences beyond the video. The video is not an isolated incident whatsoever.
Thank you, Mrs. Pizzo. Dr. Glazer?
Sorry, it's Pezzo.
I'm sorry, Pezzo. I'm sorry.
Hi, Dr. Glazer.
Hi, and thank you for commenting and for your thoughtful comments. Unfortunately, I can't go back in time to January and address all of those things. I wish you had come forward then. It might have been, I think, easier to address. And I do want to be clear, and I'll say this publicly, there is a difference between having conversations about racism, about having curricular conversations, about culturally responsive classrooms, and even about the equity teams that, that we had started to put into place than the video. And I do want to make sure that we're separating an incident from conversations about racism, because I think it's really critical to go on the record to say, I can assure you that if you brought those concerns forward in January, we could have answered you immediately. And I will tell you that I'm heartbroken that you've held on to this for 6 months, and that perhaps you think that your administration or this board or I have not heard. I think you are well aware.
I mean, I could talk about why I didn't come out at the time.
Well, let me answer, because I don't want to eat up your time. You'll be able to have more time if I finish, and then you can answer. But I want you to know, we certainly are aware that there's a lot of work to be done. I don't think that that's a secret. I think that we've gone on the record that in Nutley, in the country, in the world, right? There's a tremendous amount of work to be done. I will say that the video started conversations that maybe would not have been so overt or even so public. The student forums that were held were amazing, primarily at the high school level, though I will say that, not the middle school level. The community panel that was held, the partnership that we developed with Rutgers to create the equity plan for the district, all were, I think, exciting to everybody from a personal and a curricular standpoint. And as you pointed out, then COVID. Not surprisingly, because if you look at the history of this country in particular, it's a cycle, right? We have a long cycle of these conversations about racism. And right now we're talking about Black Lives Matter. And perhaps for the first time in a long time, maybe there's some, I don't know, awareness dawning. I will say, since Nutley has become activated in the last month or so, I've heard from a couple of families, more than a couple, several, I'll say several families, who have shared their stories, who have shared their pain about Nutley, about experiences in the schools or in their world. And I think that they're not just sharing with me, I think that they're sharing with a lot of people, right? And I am hopeful that we learn something new every single time we hear one of those stories. I think that we're in a time right now where we're all going to reflect, right, on our unconscious bias. We're going to examine our fears, right? Maybe better understand what it means to walk in somebody else's shoes. I think, again, all of us continue to work for change. I will guarantee you, And again, I don't know who you spoke to. We've never had a conversation on this or any other topic, but I do hope that this opens a door for you to be able to do that and to be energized and engaged. There's no such thing as when you said you're a sub or just a sub, you're a teacher in the district. Your voice is also heard. So again, I hope that this is the beginning of a conversation for you and not just a 3-minute exercise at the board meeting.
Right. So, do I have time to respond?
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of time to reply, but I feel like I'm getting some feedback. It might better serve you to speak directly to the superintendent or myself if you like, but we can go on.
So I'll let other people talk now because I know that there's some people that like to talk. I would just like to say there's a lot of reasons why people might not come out, especially people of color. And when creating an equity board, you have to focus on adults advocating for the students, not students advocating for themselves for various reasons, including re-traumatization and being targeted and things like that. So on that note, if there's any parents or students watching that feel like they have not been able to share their stories for this reason and feel like they have shared and have not been heard and have not had any action taken, please reach out to me. I'm Catherine Pezzo. You could reach out at Nutley for Black Lives on Instagram or Facebook. So let's keep this conversation going. And obviously we have people that are willing to listen. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I encourage you to also reach out to me as your leader, your educational leader in the schools, to reach out to Joe Dwyer, who's our coordinator of social studies pre-K to 12 in the district, to Kent Banya, to Janine Loconsolo. You truly have a number of people where this conversation is not just welcome, but open. There are a couple comments in the chat. Awareness means nothing without action. As we've said, we continue to work for change, and we encourage you to be involved in that change. Whether you're a student, a parent, or a community member, there's lots of room for you as part of this. This is not they say it's not a movement, right? This moment is what's important, and there's room for every single person to be part of this conversation. This isn't something that's happening in the last few weeks, right? This is something that's been an ongoing issue, again, not just in Nutley, but in the country and in the world. And we hope that you'll stay engaged with us and be part of making the change that you clearly are committed to being a part of.
I'd also like to mention that there's a reason that I'm speaking right now and not a parent or another teacher. You know, there's definitely a sense of lack of dialogue and lack of safety in that. So.
Well, that's very disappointing to hear. And from the people that have spoken to me, I think you'll find that it's not generated from here. So again, I invite you to come and have that conversation. You couldn't have a more welcoming or open ear for listening. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know why I'm getting feedback, but we'll try to fix it. Ian, is there any other?
Yes, there are several additional requests to speak. Stella,
okay.
You're next on the list.
Ian, I'm going to try to go out and come back in. I think that's the problem.
Charlie, you're in twice. Quit both browser windows and reconnect. Stella, Markiel, are you still on? Okay, Abigail Gardner, are you on?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Abigail. I live at 111 Prospect Street. I graduated from Nutley High School in 2015. And I'm just here to share some incidents of racism and discrimination that were shared with us anonymously. So the first incident that I want to share is from a Black male who graduated from Nutley High School 2 years ago. He says that he was jumped and called the N-word and a bunch of other slurs. And he remembers coming home and trying to lie about what happened to his face and why he was black and blue, and his eye was shut. He says he was genuinely scared. He said that the cops were involved and it was called a hate crime, and the offenders only got a suspension. And he says that nothing was done to help with his mental and physical trauma. So that's one incident. And the second one I'd like to share is a few from a Japanese American student who graduated some years ago from Nutley High School. She said that she was made fun of for Japanese lunches she brought to school since elementary school. She was told by a white classmate in BC Calculus that she and another Asian American student were doing better than the white student in class just because they were Asian and not because they worked hard. She was pulled aside by her English teacher and asked if she had trouble with English because she was quiet. And this was in an honors English class that she was doing well in. In high school, she went on to take AP English classes, and English is her native language, and she can only speak Japanese conversationally. She was asked where she's from when she's lived only in Nutley since she was born and until she left for college. She heard a lot of racist remarks from students. Things were yelled at her, such as sushi, ching chong, etc. She never felt like she could say anything, though, because everyone thought it was funny. She was constantly asked about anime, which she didn't watch, and then was asked, "How are you even Asian then?" because she didn't watch it. She has also had multiple experiences where people would talk down to her mother, talking really loudly to her like she was deaf because she had an accent and English was not her native language. Her mother was a chemist and has her master's and is very intelligent, but most people would treat her like she wasn't, especially if she had any difficulty understanding or because of her accent. And so this former student says this is why she had mostly non-white friends and why when she left Nutley, she knew she wanted to raise her children in, quote, a more diverse and open-minded town. So those are the anonymous incidents that I've been asked to share. And I just wanted to bring that to the Board of Education's attention.
We certainly appreciate it. We acknowledge it. I would hope that you would continue this conversation with our administrators so we can look to the future and be sure that we can help solve some of these problems. So I would encourage you to reach out to our superintendent.
Thank you.
Ian, someone else wants to speak?
Yes, Stella, you're up.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. Hi, how are you? I wanted to share a few more experiences people had as students in this town. One story is I moved here when I was 7, an immigrant from Jamaica. A lot of what I remember was that people would point out certain things that weren't normal to them. They'd say things like, "Your hair is weird, it's like Velcro," or "Wow, you speak so well, I thought you were from Jamaica." The one thing I hated the most was when people would say, "You're not really black, right? Jamaica isn't in Africa," because I was a lighter skin tone. Another story is, let's see, when taking history classes in school, teachers would come up to me on the side and told me if I ever felt uncomfortable to speak to them. However, when learning about the history, it is very watered down and almost make it seem as if white people were the saviors of black people. For example, Abraham Lincoln. Also, this was when I was in high school, so about 6 years ago. But classrooms never really went into depth about many important black people in the US and not just the usual Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, etc. Another story is from an Asian American. I always ate Japanese style bento lunches since first grade and always got amazed or grossed out looks. In calculus class once, the teacher told me in front of the whole class that during Thanksgiving, he talked about the student, quote unquote, the student who eats with chopsticks and how weird it was. So my comment is the school administration is responsible for fostering an environment where racism and microaggressions, like the stories I just read, should not be tolerated. So I'm just wondering what is going to change in the future regarding teaching history and teaching, and that racism should not be accepted in schools. Is there going to be more talk about it in classrooms, or what's going to happen?
Thank you very much, Stella. Dr. Glazer, would you like to reply or have them meet one-on-one with you?
Well, no, I'm happy to reply. You know, there's not much of a response that I can give. People's experiences are their heartfelt experiences, and I'm struggling. Some of your examples are years old, and I think that all of us in the current administration have worked very, very hard to do more than just talk, right? We've engaged student forums at the high school to talk about curriculum, to talk about how teaching needs to look differently. We've had conversations about microaggressions and overt racism. And I think that it's a beginning. It's a beginning. And it makes my heart hurt to hear your stories. I appreciate your willingness to share. And again, I can say that we're all listening. I am hopeful that the more people tell their stories, the more things change. And I can only assure you that this administration, and you have, again, the directors of curriculum, you have principals on this call that I can see faces, people that are committed to making change. And that's the best I can offer you in a timed conversation. As I said in the chat, I do hope we have many more opportunities for individual conversations, small group conversations in a comfortable way that's perhaps not limited by time limits of a Board of Education meeting.
Okay, can I answer?
Sure, yes, you can.
Okay, it's just your response is making it seem as if nothing else needs to be done, as if Nutley has already done enough. And
Not at all.
No,
I did not say that at all. I said the work is ongoing. The work.
Okay, can I just finish really quick? And then, thank you.
Certainly.
I just think that there needs to be more action done as soon as possible. Some of these stories are not years old, they're more recent, and it's still going on. And for example, the video that surfaced of those girls, and the fact that you were telling that you should have seen, someone should have seen you or something, that you weren't aware of the video.
We can't, you're breaking up. We can't hear you.
Okay, I was saying when Catherine was bringing up the video, I mean, you guys were well aware of it and it didn't seem like you guys addressed it. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be action, like further action that's going to be taken as soon as possible.
So we do take action, but those are student information. We can't share that. The action that happens, again, the student forums, oops. Hello?
Yes.
You're still there.
I'm sorry, something went haywire with my connection. There you are. That was weird. But again, the student forums, the community panel, the work that we've engaged in with Rutgers to create an equity panel for the district. All of those things are ongoing. All of that is action. Hopefully, I am with you. I think that we are all praying for change. We're all praying for something different. You're not alone in that. We are somewhat constrained. And again, I will bring up again, we can't talk about a specific student incident. We can talk about racism. We can talk about cultural responsiveness. We can talk about pain. We can talk about people's stories in the community. I can't talk about individual students.
Okay, is there any way that there could be a meeting where we could talk about these situations so we can?
Absolutely, anytime. We've had a number of meetings and we would love to do this.
Okay.
Again, we're not back in the buildings yet, but if you're willing to have a virtual meeting, we can schedule that. Again, you have a host of administrators right on this call. We could schedule it immediately. So we're not shying away from the conversations. Please know that we're well aware of the issues, and it's not new, as you said. We all are working towards change and praying for change.
And like Dr. Glazer mentioned, all of our administration is on this virtual meeting, but we can certainly schedule a meeting as soon as we get back into our somewhat normal life, or virtually. Either reach out for Dr. Glazer, or you can reach out for myself, and we can certainly continue this dialogue, which we're looking to do.
And my email is on the district website, and that reaches me also by telephone. So please, by any means that you need to, reach out to me. I am available.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ian, anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, Anthony Saldini, you're next.
Hello. My name is Anthony Salombini. I live at 59 Manhattan Court. I graduated Nutley High School in 2017. Can everybody hear me? Correct? Great, wonderful. I'd like to pull from the statement made about the video of the racist girls that went viral, where it says, as educators, it is our responsibility to engage in conversations that promote understanding and critical thinking and maintain our schools as a, here's the important part, safe haven for all students and staff from threats and discrimination. Now I'm going to continue with a statement, an anonymous statement that I'd like to share that says this. As a senior who's been to the junior, formal, senior cruise, and multiple homecomings, I know that at least 20 white students nonchalantly say the N-word when it comes up. Similarly, they say it as a joke in school when they think that POC aren't listening. This year, we all know about the racist video that went viral. That is another instance. Just last week, multiple students that just graduated drove by a peaceful protest of protesters supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and flipped and cursed them off. When they were called out, another student in the grade claimed that Nutley isn't a racist town, which silences the experiences of many in this town who have experienced bigotry and discrimination firsthand. The heavy normalization of racial slurs and derogatory comments within this town and within the halls of its schools has played a major role in allowing hateful behavior to peak in Nutley this year. Now, I want to comment on what Dr. Glazer said about this being an ongoing issue. What is also an ongoing issue is subtle acts of racism and microaggressions in the student body. And I know in response to the racist girls, a student action committee was formed and to advocate for students. And after I just read that response, my question is, do you see that if students feel as though they're repeatedly being silenced, and we know that teachers don't feel like they can come forward and talk about these issues, don't you see how that might even make any student body, student equity team feel like they cannot come forward and even talk about things? That's something that Catherine was touching on, and it's a very real issue.
I would hope that that's not true what you're saying, but I would also encourage you to be part of the meeting that obviously we're going to set up with yourself and with Catherine, if I can use that, and our Dr. Glazer and our administrators, and see if we can come to some answers that will help you and the rest of the population.
Right. Thank you. May I respond to that?
Yes.
Yeah, so as someone I'm trying to be an educator myself. I'm a senior in college now. And as educators, I think you put it very well. We have a responsibility to engage in conversations. So we are not asking you to pray for change. We are asking you to demand change. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Because of
Yes.
all the comments in the chat, Mr. Kaczynski, that was one comment out of minutes of speaking.
I
And while
understand.
while I appreciate that that's what you take exception to, we are committed to change and action change. You can't change it if you don't name it, and we've certainly been willing to name it. I appreciate all of your comments, and I'll look forward to more candid conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Glazer. Ian, are there any more conversations?
Yes, several. Anne Marie Reish.
Yes, Reish. Can everybody hear me? See me? I can't see myself.
Yes.
Not sure. Okay.
Yes.
So, good evening, everybody. My name is Anne Marie. I live at 54 Brookfield Avenue. I graduated as well in 2017 from the high school. Lived there my entire life in town. And initially, I was going to share some of the experiences that have been kind of brought to my attention throughout this whole movement in town. But rather than doing that, I think it's really important right now to propose what I feel like is the most important solution or move towards change, which would be the student conduct code, simply in the high school. There are currently 0 consequences or repercussions for students, really, that are named specifically in the conduct code. It says, I believe, any alleged incident of bias, racial, ethnic crime will be reported to the appropriate local county police authorities and may result in school-based sanctions and or consequences. I ask as a student of color that these consequences be named. It needs to include xenophobia, transphobia, because I'm 100% sure that this issue is not only to people of color, but people of the LGBTQ plus community. So I think that that would be the first step as we talk about kind of a meeting that needs to be held, I guess. That should definitely be discussed, as well as the changes to the social studies curriculum. And I ask that it happen immediately, because that video was completely disturbing, as well as the message that I believe was sent over the loudspeaker. Like I said, as a person of color, I did not appreciate that. I didn't appreciate how it was handled. And I think that Nutley can do better, as I am an alum, and I would hope to be more proud to represent that. So thank you.
Thank you. And we would want you to feel that way. And I know that part of the discussion that the administration is having is to take a closer look at that, the handbook for students in high school. And I agree with you 100%. So I'm sure that will be part of the ongoing conversation.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian, any more questions? Conversations?
Yes, Emerson Roberts. Emerson, are you still on? All right. Rafael Hernandez.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me, see me?
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon. I know we don't have much time, so I'll cut right to the chase. I'm Rafael Hernandez, member of the Nutley High School class of 2015. More recently, I graduated from Harvard University in 2019, and I now serve as a product manager at Google in New York. I'm here to share a little bit of my story with Nutley High School and the Nutley Public School System, and a few solutions that I think have already been touched upon that I would like to second as well. I moved to Nutley High School from Mexico in 2012 as a sophomore in high school, and I immediately was met with what I now understand to be systematic racism. I was told by my guidance counselor that I should be held back here, pushed back to my freshman year, even though my transcript from Mexico had an outstanding GPA, and my English, though not perfect, was perfectly fitting for the courses that I wanted to take. I was forced to take final exams on the spot, again, in English, my second language, to quote unquote prove that I had taken these courses that were on my transcript. We had full curriculums and lesson plans from my private high school in Mexico translated so that the guidance counselor team could understand what were some of the subjects that I'd already taken and had excelled in at my prior school. Still, I was not allowed to take many courses, especially when it came to honors and AP. The following year, I was able to get basically straight A's, and even then I was met with more institutional racism. When I was able to move to my honors and AP classes later, and then had to have a meeting about college, I was told by my guidance counselor that my college targets were too ambitious and that I should not be applying to those schools, even though, again, my GPA was in a very good spot. And the only reason I did not have as many honors or AP courses as some of my bright peers was that my guidance counselor herself did not allow me to take those courses. Eventually, I was able to gain admission into some of those universities. As I mentioned, I graduated from Harvard just a year ago. And when I did, there was no statement made to me by my guidance counselor or the guidance counselor team, either really congratulating me nor apologizing to me for the earlier instances of these institutional racist acts that in the moment I thought to have been microaggressions, I now understand would have been very impactful in my life if I'd listened to some of those recommendations from the team that was supposed to help me thrive in my education. So I'd say this to then second two important proposals that I think were brought up already. The first one is a team or a group focused on equity and opportunities for the new diverse class in the Nutley public school systems, made up of people of color and members of the LGBTQ+ community, but it cannot be made up of students, as it is not the job of students to teach each other. I can use myself as an example. I was definitely not aware of the situations I was being put in when I was a student myself, facing these challenges coming from the institution. So this has to come from people who have had the experience already, have come out on the other side, are now adults and can speak without fear of being reprimanded. This group needs to needs to be able to hold the institution accountable, in this case, administration, and should have the power to reprimand and investigate instances of macro and microaggressions in the school system. The second proposal that I would like to second is consistent anti-racism training designed and taught by POC adults, with it being mandatory and evaluated with a failing grade that can result in an inability to teach or be an administrator for that year. So with that, I yield back my time for a response.
The response is, first of all, congratulations. Obviously, you've made yourself proud and your family proud, and I congratulate you. Secondly, I know the administration because I see them and I know what they're thinking. That will be certainly part of their ongoing conversation through Dr. Glazer, Mr. Banya, the Board of Education. We will set up some type of a meeting that'll get us started in the right direction, and I appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ian, anyone else wants to be heard tonight?
Yes, Sylvan?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Sylvan Suktatan. I live at 225 Whitford Avenue, and I graduated in the class of 2017. And I just have a question about like how structural racism will be acknowledged, mostly the curriculum, because sometimes I feel like it can get pretty superficial. Like for example, I spent my entire freshman year learning about world history, and it culminated in a travel itinerary, just like looking at the tourist sites of different countries. There really wasn't any mention of like colonialism, its effects, or anything like past that. And in U.S. history, we learn about like the challenges of like Reconstruction, how U.S. companies helped colonize Hawaii, which are extremely important topics. But in those same classes, I've seen students complain about like affirmative action and say that like white students are more qualified because they got a better SAT scores. It's like, I just don't get how these like blatant like inequities aren't addressed like while we're learning about them, or like put into current day context. And like, why aren't we connecting the idea, like the dots, and why aren't our educators emphasizing this so students of color feel validated? So I think I just like want to know like how we can like connect ideas, or like what plans are there to connect like these ideas, make history more like horizontal and make it like more in context of what's happening, and create dialogues in the classroom, or even just like read like stuff like yeah, just like have different stuff to read.
Thank you for your input. And again, obviously, this is a global problem, not just a Nutley problem, but Nutley, certainly the staff that's here is aware of it. Dr. Glazer, would you like to respond, or? Your mic is off. Okay, just hang on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I was having a difficult time unmuting. In answer to your question, you're spot on. You are on the same action steps that we are. In Nutley, as in most school districts, we're on a curriculum review cycle. And the person that is the coordinator for our history and social studies program is, he's been in the position, I think, 2 years. I'm not positive, but I think 2 years. And during that time, he has engaged his colleagues across the curriculum, cross content, English, math, science, not just social studies, in starting these conversations and to truly look at what's taught starting in kindergarten, what's read starting in kindergarten. This is a process, and they're engaged in that process. I think that if you look at our student body and look at our teaching body, we have work to do to reflect, right, the student body in our instructional body. We have work to do at every level, and we're aware of that. I'm not sure that I can answer, you know, each aspect other than to say again, we're aware. We've partnered with Rutgers University. We are committed to finding ways to have these conversations so that they are accessible by everybody, our students, our staff, and the community.
Thank you, Dr. Glazer. I hope that helps a little bit, but I think this dialogue needs to continue. And when we set up that committee meeting with the staff, the administration, obviously the students and past students, we can come to some conclusions that's going to help all of us.
I know it's been still early stages, you said, but like, do you have like, is it like one example of like such change that you guys are thinking about implementing, like different reading materials?
So I can tell you, as far as I'll use the program review for English language arts, because that's been ongoing. It's been reported on in these meetings over a long period of time. And most recently in the spring, the coordinator of that area has talked about doing an inventory of the reading materials and literally changing the reading materials, changing the books that are available to students, the books that are taught, what's given to teachers to read, to use as a resource. All of those things. We've actually budgeted a significant amount of funds to replace books, to upgrade reading lists, to change the delivery of instruction to include, if truly anti-racist reading material, to be able to look at the curriculum in a more global context and perhaps not so Nutley centric. I don't know if that's enough of an example for you. I have others, but that one has, again, we've had those conversations on an ongoing basis just this school year at our board meetings.
Mr. Banyan, maybe you can have some input, please.
Yes, Mr. Krasinski, I can speak specifically to the work being done in the ELA department this summer. They're looking at the 10th grade curriculum and incorporating more books from various different cultures and ethnicities into the curriculum, as well as other disciplines. But that's one that comes to my mind to support what Dr. Glazer is saying. We're providing curricular resources for teachers and supply orders for books to move the curriculum.
Thank you. So then I hope that helps a little bit, and we'll continue. I'm sorry, Dr. Glazer.
All I was going to say, it's not just, you know, race and ethnicity. We also are very mindful of our students, our LGBTQ students. It's an ongoing conversation, cross-curricular, cross-content, cross-grade level. It's not an isolated conversation. It's not It's not a responsive conversation. We are trying to be proactive going forward.
Thank you. Sylvan, does that help for now?
That's good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice night. Ian, do we have anyone else?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure which name your request was asking for. So
I guess it
you're
looks
up
like
next.
looks like Norma Butler has something that she'd like to ask. Norma?
So Minichini?
Hi. Can you see me? Hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. It's Norma Buster. So I was a student at Nutley High School. I graduated in 2013. And I'm just noticing as I'm watching this meeting that like towards the end of the meeting, all of the administration seems to be really on board with making change and, you know, aware of the issues. But then in the beginning of the call, when Catherine came on, you know, she was told, why didn't you come forward 6 months ago? And it's really just concerning to me because I don't feel, although it sounds like you guys are very open and, you know, we've been speaking with people, various institutional levels within Nutley, but I just don't necessarily feel that an environment where people of color can speak safely and confidently about their experience without feeling like they will be blamed or told, why didn't you come forward 6 months ago? Or, you know, whatever it may be, or not believed. So that's just a big concern for me. So I'm wondering what you have to say in response to that, as far as, you know, more than just saying we're open to speaking with you guys and hearing from you guys, but what will you do to actually make people of color feel comfortable speaking about?
Norma, this is Dr. Glazer speaking, and I'm going to say I stand on my record of that. I will encourage you to speak to our community members who do come forward and speak to me. My comments to Catherine were specific in her role as a substitute teacher in the district, because I can't imagine that as somebody in our district, knowing all of the different programs that we put in place, the panels, the student conversations, the work that we were doing, that again, I will say it again, that she would hold on to that and have that pain be there. So it's not a why didn't you come forward as is a blame statement. It's a truly, in our administrative team, in this environment, I hope you do hear it, we are all accessible. We are all approachable. We answer every email, every text, every phone call, and the conversations, as I've said to you, I learn from every time. Some of the stories have been painful. Some of the stories have been incredibly difficult to hear. But there's never been a time where we weren't listening to those stories and trying to make change. It's not acceptable. I don't think you'll hear anybody on this call say that any of your examples, any of the things we're talking about are acceptable. And I can only tell you again that we also are trying to make change for everybody.
And if I could, Norma, if I could just jump in a little bit, I agree with Dr. Glazer. And if you don't know it, I'm sure you do, all the board members here have family, children, grandchildren in the district. We deal with situations that happen every day. When we're aware of them, when we're made aware of them, we can deal with them instantly at that time. I think that's what we're trying to say, is bring it forward when it happens, even though we know that the ongoing dialogue has to continue all the time. Specific incidents we can deal with a lot quicker and hopefully solve the problem.
Okay, I would like to make one point in response to Dr. Glazer. When you said that you're not blaming her for asking, why didn't you come forward 6 months ago? I work in a victims' rights firm and I see patterns of victim blaming often, and I realize that it may not seem like you're trying to blame her, but those questions, why didn't you come forward 6 months ago, ignores the reality of why she may not have come forward. So she is a person of color speaking up about this administration, and that's a risky thing to do. And I would just ask you to consider, why aren't people coming forward when it does happen, instead of just going back to, why didn't you?
The point is well taken. You're absolutely right. And we encourage, through this dialogue here or through any other dialogue, when our society gets back to normal, we have to continue the conversation, and there should be no embarrassment, hesitation, or anyone speaking up. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ian, is there anyone else that wants to have a conversation tonight?
Yes, A. Minicini.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I wanted to share a couple stories, one of them being mine. A student was called a commie in their US history class by two white students because they agreed politically. They were of Chinese descent, and when this happened, the entire class erupted in laughter, and while the teacher sat back and did nothing. And another incident is a student was speaking her native tongue in the hallway when another student told her to speak English because we live in America. The administrator in the hallway who walked by did nothing during this interaction. This is my own experience now. I'm white, but when the video dropped, I felt unsafe with the students returning back to school. Because of my white privilege, I will never understand what students of color were feeling. If I, who someone was not targeted by this video, was feeling unsafe, they definitely were as well. I took those feelings down to guidance and told my guidance counselor, who I shall not name, but I will confirm it was not Miss Casilli. The guidance counselor, who I opened up to, however, told me, your safety is not the main concern. When I asked her what she meant, she informed me that the girls in the video were more unsafe than the students of NHS. The school at the time did not understand my feelings and unsafety, but instead put racists first. I cannot imagine how people of color feel when they come forward. And like Julie Glazer said, why didn't you come forward 6 months ago? I did, and nothing was done about it. I wanted the school to re-examine the fact that they did not expel those students for being racist, but instead give them a week suspension. I get that in this country we have freedom of speech, but that does not mean we don't have freedom of consequences. We don't have freedom of consequences because your speech can impact your future and the way others feel around you because of it. But the school was not listening to these concerns. That's why people don't come forward.
Okay, and again, I appreciate your input. I encourage you to continue the dialogue with Dr. Glazer. We need to come to some type of a conclusion here that helps all of us. So along with the other people that have spoken up tonight, I'm sure, I know we are going to set up a meeting, whether it's virtual or real, and we can try to resolve some of these problems before they fester. I appreciate your input. Thank you. Yep, go
There is
ahead.
no conclusion. There is only action.
Okay, you're right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Ian, do we have anyone else that would like to speak tonight?
Yes, Emerson Roberts, you're reconnected.
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, we can.
My name's Emerson Roberts. I live at 11 Ackerman Street in Nutley. In 2011, at the Nutley High School art show, I met a student named Danielle Orna. She recognized me as a fellow queer person and quickly became a close friend and mentor. Danielle was bullied mercilessly for being different. Different than what?
Excuse me, Mr. Roberts. I appreciate the conversation. I'd appreciate you not using names if you don't have to.
Understood. My friend was bullied mercilessly for being different. Different than what? Let me rephrase. She was bullied for being gay. Her smile lit a fire inside of everyone she ever met. She was bullied mercilessly for being gay. Was her heart too big and warm for no one to have noticed the abuse that went on in the halls, at lunch, in the classroom? Did she love too fiercely for the administration to protect her? After knowing her for less than a year, my beloved mentor hanged herself in a room. Fast forward one high school generation. Now we're in 2014. I have a new mentor, a trans man. He's not allowed to participate in gym. His senior year at band camp, he is forced into his own cabin because a parent complained. One parent complained, and that complaint took precedent over this young man's dignity. Myself and other close friends sent our alarms 5 minutes early and snuck quietly into his cabin each day, so he did not have to be alone when he woke up. So he did not have to be the only member of the marching band, the supposed family, that wakes up alone in a cabin. We love and cherish him and make sure he does not feel the isolation that the administration rebranded as accommodation. Now I'm talking about myself. In middle school, a parent complained that her son was sitting next to me because I'm gay. Whose seat do you think was moved? Mine or the son's? My seat was moved. My binders and pens and backpack were picked up and moved across the classroom. My seat was moved. My senior year of high school, 2017, I took a course that allowed me the privilege of assistant teaching in the middle school. I quickly bond with the queer students in the classroom, but when I come out as trans, I'm told that I have to transfer classrooms. I'm told that otherwise the administration would have to email the parents and explain me. Explain me in an email. Do you know how powerful it would have been for those students to have me as a role model, as a human being who sits down and helps them learn science, who brings an extra pencil for the boy who always forgets? What would you have included in that email had you not forced me out of that classroom? Would you include the love and care and safety I provided? I don't think you would have, but you didn't even give yourself the chance. I didn't get to say goodbye to those students. This is not an exhaustive list. This is not nearly my whole experience with the Nutley school system as a queer trans student. I am here in solidarity of the trans siblings who are still suffering at the hands of Nutley, and in solidarity with the Black students and students of color that you have failed. You have heard 2011, 2014, 2017. It is 2020, and more of this is still happening. How many more years of evidence do you need? I'm here to speak because my friend is not. Do not ever forget that.
I appreciate your input. All I can tell you is that we are aware of it. We need to make progressive changes, and I'm sure our administration is working on it as we're speaking. You want to say anything else, or am I going to move on to someone else?
You can move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ian, do we have any other discussions tonight?
Yes, Catherine, you got another statement?
Hi, yes. I just wanted to clarify that I'm glad that we can create an open dialogue, but I'd like to reiterate that I am speaking today because other teachers and parents feel they cannot and they could not at the time. They're encouraged by mentors and their peers not to speak out, and often are shut down by administration. Obviously, I don't even have the option of tenure or any other type of protection. That is why I think it's so important that we talk about what exactly will happen in the student handbook, so that when a teacher sends down a student, they know that something will be done and it will not be up to the discretion of just the administrator. It is important that when we're working with Rutgers or whoever, that it is not only this cannot be handled only internally, and who we're working with Rutgers is also very important, and who we're working on a consistent basis. POC needs to be involved in every single conversation in regards to the curriculum and otherwise. If we're having other textbooks, POC needs to be involved. Adults, of course. If we do not have them on staff, then they need to be contracted or contacted in some way. There are POC experts on this subject. Some people spend their whole lives doing this. So it is not something that should be too difficult to adjust.
And I agree with you, and I can possibly guarantee you that your input will be heard along with everyone else that was here tonight. And certainly our administration, our staff will be contacting or looking at the right people to help guide us through this next couple of times. Dr. Glazer, did you want to say something or not? I got it. Okay. Thank you again, Catherine, if you don't mind me calling you Catherine.
Thank you.
Ian, do we have anyone else?
I do not believe there's anyone else who had requested to speak. If there is anyone else, mention them in the chat now.
If not, I thank you all for your input. I certainly thank the people that had some voices tonight. I'm sure our administration, who I see on staff, on video, are listening. Before we go into old business, Mr. Scalera, are you still with us? Okay, I did want to congratulate.
I'm here, Charlie.
Okay, I know. I just wanted to congratulate Ken Banya, Karen Greco, Janine Loconsola. Well-deserved. We are looking forward to working with you, and I know Dr. Glazer and the rest of the administration is also looking forward to exciting times for you. Obviously, as you saw tonight, there's a lot going on in Nutley and in the world, and we're going to look forward to you helping guide us through that. Any other board members would like to say something to our newly promoted staff?
Charlie, looking forward to it. I think it's going to build a great new team, and we're going to build a future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Erica. I just wanted to tell everybody, well deserved. Serving with you on the academic committee definitely has brought to my eyes what you are capable of and what you do every day. And I just want to say thank you. And again, very well deserved.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Scalera, old business?
Yes, Mr. Kaczynski, thank you. So as you know, a month or two ago, you appointed Trustee Riley and myself to the graduation committee. I have to tell you that we've been working with Dr. Glazer, Dennis Williams, Jackie DeVoe, Joe Materia, Ian on the technology side. It has been a pleasure what we've been able to plan for our students in this time frame. So today we celebrated the Raider Ride, which I think was a great success. 150 to 200 cars celebrated the students of Nutley. I thought it was great. This week, June 24th, is our virtual graduation. The time that's been put in by our staff and the district for this, please watch it on the 24th, because I think you will see how well we're trying to honor our students in this time period. And then as Dr. Glazer, looking to July 9th, we are planning an in-person one. So I know it's been tough for the families, us trying to organize these things, figure out what the governor's sending out orders every day. But I truly want to thank the committee, thank my fellow board member. Maybe he might want to say a few words here also. And Mr. Kaczynski, thanks for allowing us to serve on that committee.
I didn't think I was doing you any favors when I put you on that committee, Mr. Scalera and Mr. Riley, but I certainly appreciate the time and energy you put into it. The staff has been phenomenal. The board members, all of us were there today with our vest on so that everyone could pick us out. I don't know if that was planned or not, but I appreciate everyone's input. It was a nice day. I'm sure the virtual will be just as good, and our ceremony on the 9th will culminate everything that we've done throughout the year. The staff has been phenomenal. I appreciate everyone and the work you've done to get us to this point. Any other board members like to say something?
I'd just like to echo what Fred said in thanking and congratulating the administrators at the high school that really did an outstanding job with this. So thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Any new business to come before the board? On new business after tonight's conversation, Mr. Banya, Ms. Loconsola, Ms. Greco, there's a lot of new business out there for us to that's going to challenge you, I'm sure. Looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We're ready for it.
I know that. Thank you. I'll hear an adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone. And thank
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.